Do you like the dairy aisle?
We're going to show you a store that has a much better selection than yours. Hi everyone, welcome back to Around the World with Joshua and Alyssa. Today we are going to show you some things in Portugal. So the last 3 weeks we looked at some places in Canada. The next place we went after we flew from Canada was to Portugal, and so that's what we're going to take a look at today. When we first got to Portugal, we got a rental car, and then we decided to go around and look at the city of Lisbon for a while. And then we were headed somewhere else on the coast of the Pacific Ocean to spend the next 2 nights. Well, before we did that, we had to stop at a store to get some food because we needed something to eat for the next couple days. And so we went to this mall in Lisbon, but they had a grocery store inside.
Kind of like in the basement.
Yeah.
I felt like. I'm not sure if it actually was, because the mall was huge, like so many layers tall.
Yeah. And we parked for sure underground.
Yeah.
And then we went up a few levels too. But this might have still been underground. I can't remember for sure. But this is the cheese aisle. And Alyssa's looking for some, I don't remember, cheese for whatever it was, but she's looking. Baby Jaden's looking with her. Here's a bigger picture of the cheese aisle. That's the international cheese. Only the international cheese. So all the cheese that doesn't come from Portugal, I guess. Let's see. So if you turn around from where Alyssa was standing there and look across the way, you'll see...
More.
This is yogurt, I think.
Yeah.
But this is a lot of yogurt.
So many yogurt options.
On the other side, so this actually wasn't behind the cheese. This was another aisle somewhere else. We'll show you what was behind the cheese in a moment. But this was the yogurt aisle on one side. This is the yogurt aisle on the other side.
So much yogurt.
All we wanted from the yogurt aisle was one nice container of yummy yogurt, preferably something that had maracuja or mango or a mixture in it. And there was like at least 4 different kinds of that.
Yeah.
And so we're going up and down this aisle looking for the best
choices.
prices. And it's in euros, which was okay because euros at the time were about equal to dollars. But everything is in liters and grams and milligrams, and we're used to like
Ounces.
and pint and half pint.
Yes.
So we're having to do all these conversions and math, and we spent so much time in that yogurt aisle. But we made a good choice.
We did. We got drinkable yogurt. They had all sorts of kinds of yogurt.
Oh yeah, we got 2 kinds. We got drinkable and we got scoopable.
Yes.
Yeah.
The drinkable was really good though.
Yeah. Let's go back to the cheese. So next to where Alyssa was looking at cheese is like the cheese counter where they serve you the cheese that's inside. And on the other side of that was all of these cheeses.
So much
All those
cheese.
islands of cheese. I think those were the local cheeses,
So much.
not the international cheeses that we saw earlier right here. So much dairy product. But it was all probably way better than ours, and it was cheaper than ours.
Yeah, it was. It was way cheaper to buy groceries. We were really surprised when we checked out what all we got for the price we got it for too.
We got yogurt. Did we get some cheese actually?
Maybe, I don't know.
We got some crackers. We got some purified water. We got a whole bunch of other things. And
a lot of snack food.
We paid very little for it. It was wonderful.
It was really fun.
And it was fun because I knew some Portuguese. And so finally I was back in a country that spoke Portuguese. And we got to go around and I could actually read a lot of the stuff. So that was pretty cool.
A lot of it's really close to Spanish, but it's not perfect. Like, I couldn't read it and make sense of it. I couldn't hear it and understand it, really. I had to see it to make more sense of it in Spanish.
But that was quite the dairy experience. I loved it.
Yeah. Okay, let's do some more of our story. We had quite the cliffhanger last time, if you remember, of Gracia and Martin on their little anniversary trip, and all of a sudden there was all this banging at their door. They went to the door and there's people standing there, these guys standing there with machine guns, and they said, "You have to come with us." And they ended up being terrorists, and they were kidnapping people. And so they kidnapped Martin and Gracia, and it was just the two of them, remember, because their kids were being cared for by somebody else in another part of the Philippines. And these terrorists took them and the other people to another island farther away from Palawan to kind of like keep them safe and hold them for ransom for money. But when they found out that Martin and Gracia were missionaries, they were really disappointed because they thought nobody's going to pay money for these people to get them back. So we'll deal with you very, very last. That's how the terrorists were kind of treating them. But it was really tough for them to be captured. And they had to walk through the jungle a lot of the times, and their shoes were getting all worn out, and they were getting scratches and bug bites, and they weren't getting enough food and water. And the terrorists wanted to keep moving them around through the jungles because they thought it would be harder for the Philippine army to find them and to be able to try to get them back and to rescue them. And they missed their kids a lot. But they were glad that they were with somebody safe and somebody who could take care of them. So day after day and week after week, they did this whole process of walking through the jungle, sleeping, and Martin had like handcuffs on, and he had to always have them on, and he even had to sleep with them on, and a lot of times they would kind of chain him up to a tree, and that's how he would have to sleep. And it was so hard for them to just live life like this, but they didn't regret coming to the Philippines as missionaries. They knew that God still wanted them there, and this must be part of his plan, is what they decided. Well, a whole year went by of them being captured, of living this really tough life with the terrorists and in the jungle. But Martin and Gracia did their best to stay focused on who God was and that he still loved them, he still cared for them, and that he had a purpose in all of this. And Gracia used her love for music and for songs to help encourage people around and to even kind of encourage herself to sing and get some of the other people involved to sing. And Martin used whatever chances he could get to talk to some of these different terrorist leaders and to tell them about Jesus and how Jesus was the only reason that they could have hope in this really tough situation. And they decided that it was better that they were following after Jesus and that they weren't in a perfect situation. They weren't living in a nice house with nice place and everything all around them, but they knew that God was still in control. Well, every time they would kind of get settled in an area, and the Philippine army would get close, usually there would be a lot of gunshots and fighting and yelling and stuff, and they'd all have to scramble real quick and get their stuff and then march off through the jungle again to their next location. Well, one day while Martin and Gracia were just kind of relaxing a little bit in a hammock, they heard the sounds of gunfire going across, and they could hear it, and Gracia quickly tumbled out of the hammock and onto the ground, but she felt something hit her leg, and she realized that she had gotten shot as all of these bullets were going by, and she looked up to check on Martin and realized he had gotten shot too, but it wasn't just in his leg, he had died. And they don't know exactly who shot what where, but in the process of the Philippine army coming to rescue them, he got shot and died. And Gracia was very sad, but she was also rejoicing at the same time because she knew that Martin was with Jesus and that he wasn't hurting in his body anymore and that Jesus welcomed him home and was so thankful to have him in heaven. So the soldiers helped take Gracia and out of the area, and you're going to have to come back next time to hear the next part of the story and see how she responds and what else happens with her family. Now, this is a real story. Like, this really happened not that many years ago. So you could ask your parents. Maybe they even remember when these missionaries were able to be rescued.
I definitely remember it. And it was a lot longer process than what you just shared. It went on for a long time, and it was big national news. And I wasn't expecting you to end when you did, because you're just in the middle of a sentence and you're going to have to come back next time, and you dropped like, oh, that was really abrupt. So you're going to have to come back next time.
And
Okay.
I need to read the story about their lives, because she wrote a book all about it.
Yeah.
Now I need to read it.
And I've read the book, so I highly recommend it.
Well, I need to read it.
Okay, we are going to look at another ministry in Athens today. And that ministry is called Hellenic Ministries. And it's called Hellenic Ministries, plural, because they do a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
So in Greece, it's a crossroads between a lot of different countries and Europe. And if you look at where it's located on a sea, and there you can get to Europe by land or by sea going through Greece. And a lot of people, especially those who are refugees who are looking to have a better life in Europe, will often travel through Greece, get their documents, and then continue on to somewhere else. And I know that we've mentioned that in the past. Alyssa especially has talked about the refugees and the significance of Athens for them. Well, Hellenic Ministries is an umbrella of all sorts of different ministries. They run camps. They help with, I think we showed you Rain Lab before, and they help train people who can work in businesses such as Rain Lab. They provide housing for people, meals.
Kids ministries. They do like kids events and training, kind of like little school things for kids too, and for families. I think they get food bags for them too. Like they feed them at their center some days, but they also give them food.
Yeah, I couldn't remember how many ministries they have. If you go to their website, if you do a search for Hellenic Ministries Athens online, you'll find their website, and you'll just find so many things that they do. And by looking at their website, you wouldn't realize that it's only run by a small handful of people and a lot of volunteers. So I don't know how they've grown as big and accomplished all that they have, but God is definitely blessed. This is basically their location, their headquarters there in Athens. This is the rooftop of one of the buildings downtown, and this is the view from that
It's really pretty.
Yeah. So you can see out over the city, and you can also look, you have a clear view of the Acropolis over there in the distance. So cool. So while we were there, we got to have a meal there, and we got to hear about their ministries. One of their newer directors, who also, was it his father who helped start?
I think so.
Who helped start it, but then they also had like a national there who's a newer director. And
They have a Bible ministry too, where they hand out Bibles to people.
That's right.
That's a really big one.
Yes.
Like
and
people all
people
over.
come over to help hand out the Bibles.
Yeah.
That's right. So anyway, yeah, one of the guys who talked to us, his dad was the one who founded the ministry, but then they have a younger guy there who is one of the directors now, and he was actually influenced by the ministry. And he's in his like early 20s right now, and he's like super smart and all these things. So anyway, that was really cool to hear from him. This is the guy speaking whose dad kind of got it all going many years ago. But anyway, I don't have a lot of pictures to show you except that rooftop and the view from it, because we didn't really do much with them. We just kind of interacted with them there, heard about what they do, but we didn't actually get to go out and like be part of something that they're doing, except for going to Rain Lab and another place where they're involved in the building there. But yeah, I would love to go back someday and help with something else that they're doing. We talked to one of the guys, and it might be a possibility someday. But you can pray for Hellenic Ministries as they reach out to a lot of people and they need a lot of help. They have teams come over for the summer or for a few weeks to help them with their ministries. So pray that they will be able to get the volunteers they need for this year, and that ministry would continue to grow and help people come to know Christ and live transformed lives.
Yeah, right there in Athens, and then also at their camp. They talked a lot about the camp and all the different weeks that they had, and it sounded like a really rustic camp. Like,
yeah.
It wasn't super fancy or anything, but they had all these different refugee families and individuals and all different kinds of stories and how God was using this very simple campground, basically, in some amazing ways to help these people take the next step in their spiritual walk or even just understand who Jesus is.
Yep.
So it was a really cool ministry to see all that God is allowing them to accomplish.
And next week, when you come back, we will review some of these ministries that we've shown you about. And then after that, we'll start a new series and tell you about some more.
Make sure you come back next time.
Yep. We'll see you then.
Bye.